Hey, it's Don the Auction Professor. Today is Sunday, so again, we're going to do another What Sold on eBay today. It's just another mix of stuff, so just as usual, I'll go into a little detail and show you some items. First item here is a Toho. Now, that's the maker name. It's a overseas company, obviously. There's some that are made in Japan and some that are made in China. Now, this is Rodan. I grew up watching Godzilla as a kid. First one came out in like the 50s, but most of the Toho figures, if they're marked Toho, are usually Godzilla if they look anything like this. I took 20 for it. This is something I paid 50 cents for. It probably was even in one of my haul videos. Every one I get, I sell. Every single one. Glenn Miller, talk about him all the time. I took 15 on this one, and only because this is a flexible disc. I can pack this like a 12-inch LP. This is just when like LPs were coming into play and you had 10-inch flexible discs coming out for the first time. They did make some promotional items like this for 78s as well. And this is like a broadcast version. These don't show up very often, but every one of these I do sell at some point. I think I only have one left in stock of this Glenn Miller series. I had like 50 of these, believe it or not. Every one went for 15 or more. So basically 48 or 49 of these I have sold for 15 bucks to say 35 out of that lot that I got. So anyway, next one on. Presidential item. I buy presidential stuff all the time, about the size of a postcard. This one went for 50 bucks. I had it up for a little while. No idea what it's honestly worth. He was actually President Harrison, of course, so, you know, it's something that there are plenty of around at some point, I would say. So 50 bucks is a very fair price. Most of the items from Harrison do not sell for a ton of money. 30, 40 bucks maybe at max. This is a decent price on this $50. Just over half of what I actually originally had on it. I marked it down because I had watchers, and then I took the best offer out of the two offers I had on this item. Next item, postcard. This one did sell for $18.50. By the number, it was up for maybe a day or two at the latest. Very interesting one. For the most part, Atlantic City cards won't sell for very much, but buildings like this will. It wasn't a popular one. It wasn't well known. It wasn't in the ritzy side of town. It's just something that most people wouldn't have bought at the time. It wasn't just, you know, important enough to do that. It just an unknown establishment, basically. So $18.50 was a pretty good price. Luggage label here, 10 bucks. Burlington Route aren't very popular. The Zephyr is a well-known liner. We actually have seen a real Zephyr in the works once before at a museum, running in the whole works. So anyway, interesting. 10 bucks I got out of it. Here's a Wedgwood plate. I picked up a bunch of these for $1 or $2 for each one. This one went for 40 on its own. I sold a couple other ones already. I've well made my money back, and then probably 3x on profit from the lot that I bought. So good one here. The person who bought it lives just down the street from this place. His mother or something along that line actually helped out at this historical home too at one time in their life. So rather interesting, along with some history with it. Another postcard. This one was $12.50. Just a typical postcard. Ocean Park, California. I list most California ones that are early. Again, I research everything. So this postcard was looked up to make sure it was worth selling. Everyone, all 3,000-4,000 postcards or 5,000, whatever I have up now, every one was looked up manually one by one. That's the dedication you have to make this work. Sure, you can throw a whole bunch up and hope they fly, but you're just spinning your wheels if they're not worth the time and the effort. And as well as spending your time, you're losing money on the listings depending on how much you pay per listing for those. So next one here, it's $12.50. This is a pinback button. I'm actually going to go into these in a video, not this specific brand or model or anything, but pinback buttons in general. There's some that go for like $1,000, so it's something you really need to pay attention to. I'm going to touch base on that in the next week or so. Video's already shot, it just needs to be edited. So let's move on to the next one. color forms. They don't go for a ton of money, but usually I pay $1, maybe less for them. This one was $1. It's missing a few pieces. It's not essential if they're missing a few. Some of these can be found still. One of them's actually damaged, the chair on the left side behind Pluto, and then there's, again, you can see a few missing pieces. But the key characters are there. That is the key. You have to have the characters as well as the majority of the rest of the items. So again, I pay $1 for it. It sits up for 6 months. So basically I have, 30 cents in a listing it, so $1.30. I have maybe 12%, so I've got $1.20 in fees. So just under $3 I'll have into this, and I'll be making like $8 or $9 profit. So, even at that price, who cares in my book? If it's $1 or less and I can get it, I'm going to sink the money into it. It's a quick list, 3 photos, boom, boom, boom. Quick list, upload the photos, and it's off. Let's move on here. Now this one here is an alligator border. If you're not familiar, there's some very good high-dollar alligator borders on some of these postcards. Almost all exclusively Florida cards. This one's damaged. If you see the left-hand side, the corner's really serrated. I took 15 because of that. If it was undamaged, this would have probably been about a $50 or $60 card. I've sold some with the alligator borders for $150 or better. So always look for the alligator borders. Usually I'll run across a collection of Florida ones, and I'll get a couple of these in there if there's enough of them there to look through. And most people don't realize that the alligator borders are worth a lot more money. It's a series. It's very well collected. So anyway, 15, I was very happy just because of the corner damage. Again, no damage, it would have went for a heck of a lot more. This is the last of the Dinobots, the Transformers. This is an original 80s. It still works from what I gather. I wasn't sure how to transform it. That was the question they asked, if I could transform it. I honestly didn't know. I took 40 for it either way, so, I was pretty happy. I sold every one within 3 weeks of putting these up. Every 80s Transformer I ever put up is gone in a week to 3 weeks, probably at the max on them, depending on how much money I want to get out. I wanted to hold out a little bit more because it is Christmas. Average price is around 30. I took 40. So let's move on here. Lenticular. Lenticular items always sell. It's holographic. It kind of rotates. You can see different angles of the actual thing. It's almost like a little hologram to some extent. That's the best way I could explain it. It's almost like you're able to look at the image sticking off the plastic. Basically, there's angled images or multiple images of this on different planes on angles. So when you look at it at one angle, it looks one way. When you look at it at another, it looks another way. And as you transverse from one side to the other, it moves with you moving across it. So lenticulars I always buy. Even if they're not worth a ton of money, I love lenticulars, so I always sink into them. Religious ones will sell just as easily as the non-religious ones. Movie-related lenticulars sell best, such as a 2001 Space Odyssey poster. I think the last one we had was like 14 by 18, somewhere in that range, and we took 175 out of that one for 2001. So the movie ones, vintage ones are better. There's vintage Disney lenticular postcards from the 60s that sell. There's some postcards that go back to the 50s that are lenticular. There's some advertising material for cameras as well that are lenticular postcards, and there's lenticular things. Even holograms sell, like some of the first few mass-produced ones from like the cover of National Geographic, or the inset McDonald's one that was available as an advertising piece in the back of another issue of National Geographic. That can sell for some good money too, or the mail-away ones. But anyway, this was a good price, $21.50. I spent 69 cents for this at a Goodwill. Grand Theft Auto. I showed this in another video. It sold right off the bat, $10 when it went up. Again, not a big one, but I bought a whole mess of these for almost nothing. I've got, 50 cents or less probably in this specific one. Usually I'll buy a stack of them and be able to get them down to 50 cents or less a book, and then I just blow them out. Who cares, $10? I just make $8 with nothing really, a few photos, and off it goes. I've showed these many times. I've been selling them ever since I listed them. Couple every single week, 3 or 4 every single week, every week, week in, week out. So they're good movers for us. $40 on this one. That's about average. Actually, it's a hair higher than they usually sell for. It's an 8mm magnetic sound version of Frenzy by Alfred Hitchcock. Next one's in Our Man Flint. Now, there's 2 movies I'm thinking about are In Like Flint. There were several of these where James Colburn was a spy, basically. It's kind of along the lines of Dean Martin playing Matt Helm in some of the Murderer's Row and some of those kind of movies as well, too. I grew up on some of these. My parents watched it, so I know all of these movies. This is another original sound version of this. Decent one, $15 I took. It averages 8 to 10. They're not all worth a ton of money, but I buy them in bulk so I can make my money on some high-dollar ones, and then it's a constant influx of these. So now I've shown some of these China company items. This is the SS Lung Sang. The ship actually was sunk and beached at one time, and it was destroyed. So this is a handwritten menu from the ship, and I had a couple of these. The same person bought this one, bought a couple other items for $2 to $2.50 a piece. All the Chinese-related items, China, Hong Kong. I took $200 on this. I've got a couple more. It's not super scarce. Had this been printed, I probably would have netted, $200 or $300 more in the $500 range. But as a handwritten menu, $200 is probably the max I've ever received for something like this. But that's about the lowest I probably would have taken on it as well, too, though. Just because of where it's from, the era, circa 1901 as well. It's early. It's scarce. You're just not going to find anything from the ship at all. It wasn't specifically a passenger liner. It was half cargo when it actually took passengers. A lot of the liners back in the day would take passengers and do a ton of cargo. They weren't just a passenger ship, like, say, the Titanic or the Queen Mary or, any of those type of ships, the Lusitania, the Olympic, or any of that. So let's move on here. Plan book. Now, I showed this Parade of Homes. It's from the local area, Toledo. I took $30 for it within 3 days of it being up. Very happy with that. I paid $1 for it. Here's another one. This is actually a 16mm, the next size up. I think I got like $24.50 out of this, if I'm not... Yeah, $24.50 out of this. It's not worth a ton of money, but it is 16mm sound. That's the key. The 16mm are harder to get. They're more industrial. They cost a lot more money back then. It takes, obviously, a bigger projector, a more expensive projector. So average price on this one is, like $10 or something. So I was happy with what I got out of it. Just a couple Christmas ornaments, Disney ones. I took 10 on these. I had them up for a little while, but still, we're still going to make like $8 profit. Nothing fancy. Another one of these, I sold it for $30 on this. Plus, they paid postage, of course, because everything I'm showing you, the buyer pays postage. Another one of the Mark set. Piecing them out, I've already made more than I would if I listed them as a lot. Take that into consideration. That's a big factor in this. So anyway, $30 on this one. Just a little vehicle. You've seen all the other ones I've sold. I've sold some every single week since I've put them up. I've made at least 30 to say $75 profit almost across the board a week from these Marks items. Postcard again. I took $14.50 on this one here. It was up a little while, say maybe 30 days or so, so I'm fine with that at this point. Again, cheap card, nothing fancy. An oddball place, Greenville, New Hampshire. I've been through that area actually when we were in New England as well. Nice area. Cadet Magazine, I took $17.50, the asking price. No haggle whatsoever, sold. Already shipped it out. It's from West Point. It's like a magazine for the cadets that went there. Like maybe they actually produced it themselves even from that point. Kind of like a high school yearbook or a college yearbook, so to speak. Another postcard. This one went for $14.50 as well. The picture's a little washed out. I wish whoever listed this one would have done a little better job. But either way, it's sold. I'm okay with it at this point. We all make mistakes on this. So, again, I have bad photos here and there, too. So, it's just the way things happen to work. You have to rely on people. Not everybody sees things as you do, too. And in some aspects, depending on the PC or laptop we're using, some of the brightness is set off on a couple. I need to probably adjust them. This one went for $15. It's nice, shiny. You can see all the reflection on it. ceramic basset hound. This has a very good draw for items like this. It's known. It still has a label on the bottom as well, too. It's a cute thing. You can sell it in the collectibles. You can sell it in ceramics. Dog collectors will buy them. Even Napco. There are Napco collectors, believe it or not. So that's a pretty good profit. $11.99 on Ann Pillsbury Tasty Talk. It's an advertising cookbook. It's a giveaway or a mail-away offer. You can find these in big stacks at estate sales or auctions or flea markets or even antique malls. You'll see them bagged up a lot. And I'll just buy those, usually really dirt cheap, a few cents in each individual item because I don't want to hang them out. In an antique mall, it's just not going to sell very fast. Or, flea market or anything like that. So I'll buy them cheap, and then I list them separately, of course, and, I'll just wait it out. We made $8 or $10 on this one as well, too, after all is said and done. I've showed this one in a haul, actually, so it's a 4x6 card, not the typical card you see, but every one of these I have sold. $15 out of this one, so I can't complain. It's California, so, you just can't go wrong on California. Obviously, there are some that don't sell, but we're very selective. I look stuff up, and if I don't know, as I said, I always look it up, so I'm not going to lose out. James Whitley Riley, Little Orphan Annie is why this one's sold. You just have to know something about these and be able to look them up. Little Orphan Annie is literally the reason this sold. I'm not sure if it's related to the comic book character, but Raggedy Man's on the back. These are known versions. Took $21 and some odd cents, plus they paid for shipping completely on this. Very good return for my dollar or less. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, vintage Marvel Comics. $35.62 is what I took for 6 issues. I believe it's 6. Yeah, so, at $1 a piece, I have $6 into these. I made, say, $26.70 or somewhere in that range if my quick math is right. So again, I always profit on these. I think I show comic books in every video I put up for what's sold. More of these. I sold a bunch to several different people. This person bought, I'm just going to show you a few of them because, again, they're all pretty much the same thing. I sold 3 to one gentleman for $30 a pop. We're just going to flip through them here, all from the same area and same type of plane. So he has an interest. Maybe he was a flyer. Another one for $30. And another one for $30. This is actually my favorite. It's a consolidated one, and it actually has the bio information from the company that made it on the back, and under the paper there's actually information with a stamp from the company proving that it's a officially government sanctioned photo from the factory that made the actual airplanes. I've got a huge bunch of these to put up right now that we just got into. Average on these, $30 or better. I've sold many for $50, $60, even $70 on these 8x10s. Couple Christmas pieces, $20 plus shipping. They're just 2 individual clip-on faux candle mercury glass. And these are real thick glass, too. These are really nice. I wish I had a whole set of these. It would have been cool. I might have kept them if there was, honestly. $20 on those. This is just a vintage book. It's in kind of rough condition. This is from the video or photo apocalypse that happened in June. All my photos were trashed. I just let it run. Still sold it for $33.75 as long as the description was good. If they ask for more photos, then it's just a matter of pulling that item out and popping up a bunch more photos. Capturing a Locomotive, History of the Secret Service during the Civil War. That's what this is. It's a fairly scarce book from 1885, so in any condition, this is a reader copy. It's all there. It's all intact. Binding's still attached, so $33.75. Another roller skating label. This one went for $20 plus shipping. Can't go wrong. Again, I sell on average at least 5 of these a week, so $75 to $100 just on these. So every little category, every little niche you can get, you're adding to your bottom line. The more items you know, the more you're going to make. The more motivation you have, the more you are going to make. Those are keys to doing this. These came from a shoe store that went out of business. Don't ever bypass stuff like that. Shoe stores, vintage electronics, old TV stores, buildings that used to be grocery stores, things like that. Any business that's been around for, say, 50, 60 years that's going out of business, I will always go to their auctions. I go to schoolhouse auctions. I go to city auctions. Wherever there might be an opportunity to score some vintage items, new old stock, NOS,
And I had a bunch of these, actually. I think I have just one left of these now. They're actually embossed all the way around, unused, never mounted, never trimmed. They sell very well, even just like this. You can buff these up. You can dye them if you so wish. Still a completely usable piece without any issue to it. It's all solid leather. Real nice one, actually. You put the length up there in the whole works, and off it goes. So $20 on this piece. Not upset at all. I got 50 cents into each of them. I bought a bunch of them. If I bought them all, I got them for 50 cents a piece. If I bought a couple, I paid $1. You know, so I just bought them all. This paid for every one plus. John Winch postcard. This one's fairly popular. This is probably the second highest one that's sold. Check these out. Just type in Winch and Apple and postcard, and you will see this one up. It's got a few marks here and there on it, but it's still a very decent postcard. They don't show up all that often, but there are probably 5 or 6 up any time I've ever looked for this specific card. Mount Shasta, I just threw this one up here at some oddball price. I took $15 for it. Mount Shasta in general does not sell for very much money. But if you put low amounts on something, you're going to get low amounts back. So I do put it up higher. If I got to take less, I'll let it run, though. I'm not going to put it up and then just mark it down. This ran at full cost for months on end just to see what happens, and then boom. So I've got about 35 cents into listing this. I paid $1 or less for it, no doubt about it. I would have never paid more than that for this one. Probably came in a lot, honestly, so I might even have 10 to 50 cents into it. I sold it for, as I said, 15. So my profit's over $10 on this one card, after everything is said and done. And the last item here, now I showed this, I had a bunch of these. Most of these sold on Amazon very quickly, believe it or not. This is the last one, if I believe I'm right. And this one went on eBay, $22.49. I bought a bunch of these, as I said, and I bought some other items, some bobbleheads and things, all new in the box from one of my pickers who got them at some clearance sale or something. And we've been just piecing them out one at a time here until we've, sold through them. It's all looks just like the real thing. It's made out of metal, real rubber tires, real rubber seat. It's a really interesting piece. The person who bought it actually rides a unicycle, so that's why these usually sell. Some oddball collector or something. So this was a good profit. $20 around profit off of this.
Well, there we go. There's some items that we sold this week on our account that we share with you. Hopefully they gave you some thoughts and some ideas and things that maybe you weren't thinking were actually worth some money. But anyway, that's what I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.